Behind the Glass. Soul to Soul with Steve Gleason.
Sweet man, you're looking great, man. Good afternoon, my friend. Thank you for joining us today, Ronnie.
Thank you.
Ronnie Lott, you're a champion of a human, and in my football career, I worked to model my game after your relentlessly tenacious style of play. You've been a mentor to me for longer than you know, brother. During my career with the Saints, I was fortunate to play against your son, Ryan. He is a player and a person who I greatly admire as well. You did well as a father, my man.
Thank you.
Speaking of fatherhood, that is part of my purpose now with our son Rivers and our daughter Gray Gray. In addition to being a role model to me as a player, I appreciate your example as a father, Ronnie.
Yes, thank you again. As you know, when you think about fatherhood, you think about the encompass of what that means. And there are so many aspects to being a great father. There are moments where you find yourself having to be an example where you are like you are on the field, tenacious. And then there are moments where you also have to walk off the field and you have to be able to have tenderness. You have to be able to have love. And so those are different for guys like us, way different for guys like us, because all of a sudden we now have to be tender and we have to be loving and we have to be compassionate and we have to find ways to make sure that that other side of us doesn't come out.
We'll dig into this a little bit later, but Ronnie also has some intimate experience with ALS. Multiple friends of yours, teammates, and your best friend died of ALS.
Yes, it's a tough disease. It's tough because of all the things that you want people to know, and you can't get people to really understand all the things you want them to know about ALS. And the hard part is you try to explain to people what it's like to not be able to do certain things, to not be able to control certain muscles. But what I do know is that whether it's yourself or whether it's Augie or whether it was Dwight or whether it was Eric, you live and you live to have a full life and you live to give love and you live to make sure you make a difference. And to me, there's so many people that never get to really understand what Lou Gehrig, what he really went through. And when I see you today, it reminds me of the people that have dealt with ALS. And what I want all ALS folks to understand, because we're going to find an answer and we're going to find a way to wipe out ALS.
Finally, Ronnie, while your reputation on the field was a cold, fearless assassin, breaking the will of your opponents physically and mentally, off the field, you're what I'd call a guru master. With your daughter Haley, You have a podcast on mindfulness and meditation. Again, we'll get into this, but you're a men's man who often speaks about empathy and compassion, the courageousness of showing vulnerability, and the paradox of surrendering to become stronger. Certainly, these are ancient and powerful philosophies that are just as relevant in these extraordinary times we live in.
Yes, yes, they are. And the reason they're relevant today is you have to be able to understand that the warrior inside you needs to understand how to have compassion, how to have empathy. And the reason why is that right now we need to really think about the other person that's weak, the other person that doesn't have what they don't have. And we have to put ourselves in their shoes. And when I put myself in Eric's shoes, or if I put myself in Dwight's shoes, I have to think about what that means. And you have to think about how vulnerable they can be. And yet they still had to be a dad. They still had to have the ability to continue to love. And my point is that we right now need to understand a lot of elements about a lot of people. And so one of the things I think is really interesting is now a lot of people are trying to understand why we all matter and why Blacks matter. And the reason we're trying to all understand it is that we don't really understand the fears that sometimes we have in life and the fears of the things that people have lived with for a long time. And so if you think of the fears that ALS brings, and you think of the fears that it brings when you feel like, when you see a police officer, those things for some people every day is conditionally something that makes you not secure. And when you think about where we're all at today, a lot of why we have to be diligent on this exercise is that we need to find ways to lift people up. We got to find ways to lift people up, not bring them down. Lift people up. And usually when you lift somebody's spirit up, they start to see their full potential. And I think a lot of people don't realize that all a lot of people want is their full potential. And so having full potential, because I don't think people want handouts. They just want to hand up. And I think that one of the great things that my dad has always shown me is you got to find a way to make sure that if you're going to play in this country, you make it better for other people. You make it better for other people. And that's why Eric Scoggins, he made it better for me. He made it better for me. Dwight Clark, he made it better for me. And I know this because I know your teammates that you played for with the Saints, you made it better for them. And people all the time when I talk about you, and if I bring up Scott's name and I bring up your name, you know that there is one big man that is by your side fighting the fight for you, because that's just who he is. He's an incredible individual, Scott. And my point to you is that we find people that are warriors, but we also find people that understand how to get into your shoes. And I think that that's all we're asking people. Get into my shoes, get into other people's shoes, and see what it feels like to be not valued, to feel not like you're worth something. That's not a good feeling. No one around the world doesn't want to be valued. And so I think for us, that's what matters, is values, respect. You know, there's going to be a day when we leave this world, they're going to pay their respects. We paid our respects to George Floyd and his family and all of what they've been able to do and all of what they've been able to create. But there's even more respect that we need to pay for others who have made sacrifices. And so I got to make sure that I keep exhausting all of those moments for so many people. And that's what you did when you played. You went out and, man, I remember watching you block that punt. And I remember watching that moment. And I remember seeing you and how jacked you were. But all your teammates were jacked for you. And the reason they were jacked for you is because they knew that you made an incredible sacrifice for them. That's what we're asking people to do. And they are doing it. And we're seeing it every day. People are making incredible sacrifices right now around the globe of trying to make sure that we are listening to the people who can't speak, the people who maybe are not able to share their voice. And you're seeing it around the globe.
Right. That's great wisdom, brother. Compassion. As much as I admired your playing style, Ronnie, I truly love the personal character and life practice that you share with me and the world. Thanks again, brother, for joining me today. I appreciate you and your life.
Love to you, brother. Every day. Love to you.
I think you have 3 questions for me, so I'm ready to dive in.
Steve, how do you find your voice of power right now in this environment and really in life?
Man, this is a great question, Ronnie. Thank you. My success in football, since I was an undrafted free agent, and the player who was too small to play linebacker, but I had never played safety. The odds were stacked against me, so I had to work harder, get creative, and rely upon what I would call my inner power to make a breakthrough and have a successful career in the NFL. That experience taught me that our true power doesn't lie in our physical strength or abilities. It is the mind and spirit that provide the true wisdom and power. I like to say, our soul is invincible. As ALS began to destroy my body, and I lost my abilities running, it was the most difficult trial I have been through. So I would really rely on what I had learned in my football career. This ALS career has been a next level challenge. My wife, Michelle, went through it with me. I'm talking difficult, as in fucking anguish and utter helplessness. Unfortunately, I made a lot of mistakes and dumped a lot of my pain on other people, which of course doesn't help the situation or help solve the situation. At some point, after I had lost all of my physical abilities, including my ability to talk and breathe on my own, I became aware that when I choose to blame other people or the reality of my circumstances, I'd become the quote-unquote victim, and when I did that, I gave up my freedom and my power to find and create solutions. On the other hand, when I choose to accept the reality of my circumstances without resistance or blaming anyone else, I'm able to see the trial or adversity as an opportunity. I'm even able to see it as a gift. Ronnie, in some respect, I think this is similar to a football game when nothing seems to be going right. Your team is down by 3 touchdowns at halftime. At any point during the game, when things are going badly, players and coaches can start to think and act negatively, and that seems to be the default option. But I think the best players, the champions and true heroes, like you, Ronnie, or Drew Brees, or Joe Montana, Tom Brady, all of the legends are consistently following a different, non-default option. As bad as things might seem, the best players are able to acknowledge the reality of the situation, challenge themselves and others to make game time adjustments, to find solutions, and move forward without judgment or blame to the next play. Ronnie, even without the ability to speak like an ordinary human, when I'm able to accept and acknowledge the reality of my situation, rather than resist or deny reality. That acceptance and non-resistance, which is definitely not easy for me, puts me in a position of growth and presence that more often than not brings about solutions. This can be a powerful voice.
Who was your best teammate and why?
Shit, man. Ronnie, this is the hardest question I've been asked in a while. Something I love about NFL locker rooms, and more broadly, professional sports locker rooms, is that they bring people of completely different backgrounds together for the purpose of accomplishing a unique and unified mission. That's a rare space and a rare opportunity that I feel grateful to have been able to experience. The year that Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and many other great men came to the Saints, we lived on the theme that we would walk together forever. This was the year after Hurricane Katrina had completely destroyed the Gulf Coast of Louisiana, killed thousands, and made refugees out of an entire city. Ronnie, our mission as a team was way fucking bigger than football. Like you, Ronnie, I still talk to a lot of those teammates. We're walking together forever, figuratively speaking. In my case, many of my teammates come to help me with our life skills football clinics. It's totally awesome. Scott Fujita helped produce our documentary, which is called Gleason, on Amazon Prime. And just last week, I recorded a guided meditation with our mutual friend, Eric Johnson. I'm not sure if this is the answer that is going to satisfy people, but my best teammate, the one who has been through the most with me, and suffered right along with me, in fierceness and grit, is Michelle, my wife. Anyone who has been around ALS knows the people closest to the person diagnosed bear the burden of the disease the most. Also, I'm not able to do a lot of the duties of an ordinary daddy. So I'm grateful and amazed by Michelle. We've been through so much pain together. And ALS is a disease that quarantines and isolates people. Her strength and fortitude is truly something that she found deep inside herself throughout the last 9 years. Michelle is a complete champion. This is not the life we imagined, and it hasn't been easy. but through communication and compassion, we're carving out an awesome existence.
That is so awesome. That is amazing of her love and commitment. I just learned how big her heart is. What makes you mad about our world?
We certainly face some serious and daunting challenges, Ronnie. We as a country, and more appropriately, we as a global species, face enormous challenges, both right in this moment, with intense racial tensions and global disease pandemics. This is an extraordinary time to be alive. Not only that, in the coming decades of the 21st century, challenges like exploring and colonizing other planets, and genetic engineering, creating a species of superhumans, or thoughtfully solving climate change, or positively harnessing the seemingly miraculous power of artificial intelligence, so the average human doesn't become increasingly irrelevant. These challenges offer us threat to our very existence, brother. At the same time, these threats provide us with an exponential opportunity as Americans and as humans. I'm not a person that is prone to get angry or mad at the world, and I can't say exactly why. Maybe I'm too optimistic, or obstinate, or downright lovingly crazy, but I think there has never been a greater time in history to be a human, Ronnie. These extraordinary times call for extraordinary love. No doubt we face terrible trials and disunity, but every moment I'm mad or angry is a moment I could be working on solutions to the problems and challenges we all face. And there is much work to be done.
Solutions of love, solutions for all, allowing us to know that our hearts all matter. Steve, thank you. That was an incredible answer. For me, hearing that gives me so much hope, because it takes people like you to say and speak the right language for us all.
Damn right, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me be behind the glass with you. Thank you for allowing me to this moment of love and compassion and thoughtfulness, allowing us to know that we can use our brain to figure it out. We can use our ingenuity to figure it out. We don't have to ball up our fists. We don't have to hurt anybody. That we can work side by side to make it better for everyone, especially for the people who suffer, the people who don't have a shot, the people who are just asking not to put fear in my life, but to put love. put love, to allow me to have that same feelings that we all want to have every day.
Sweet Ronnie, it is my pleasure. I have a handful of questions for you, my man. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, thanks again for taking the time to do this with me, Ronnie. You're the GOAT in my opinion, and many expert football analysts would agree. You're the greatest NFL safety to ever play the game. In fact, here is a fascinating statistic that our audience may enjoy. In his 14 years in the NFL, my man Ronnie had more interceptions than I even had defensive plays in my 8 years in the NFL. Ronnie Lott had more interceptions than I had plays on defense. I think that is totally hilariously awesome. We call this program Soul to Soul for a reason. I enjoy exploring the truth beyond what we are taught in buildings. So I'm going to dive right in the deep end. Ronnie Lott, here is my question. In your 14 years in the NFL, how many punts did you block?
Goose egg. A goose egg. None.
I'm talking shit to the GOAT. Ronnie, here's something you've talked about quite a lot. Moving through pain. Overcoming pain. Your legend is mostly out overcoming physical pain. Your legend is all out superhero, macho man shit. But the more I get to know you, Ronnie, and the more I learn from you, the more I understand that you have experienced challenges and trials, which bring emotional pain. This is a much more difficult pain to overcome, for me at least. It's a more elusive pain for me. You've had multiple friends die from ALS, 2 teammates die, and your best friend die from ALS. I often say, ALS is a remorseless and humiliating disease. It can leave its victims in a pathetic, silent, purposeless heap of flesh. My family and I, of course, know the emotional pain of ALS. But you, Ronnie, you know that pain too, brother, and you've spoken pretty openly about this. Can you tell me, and our audience, Ronnie, about the pain that you not only witnessed, but also pain you experienced? And what were the lessons you learned from these trials, as some of your best friends lost their abilities and ultimately died from ALS?
Yeah. Those lessons, the lessons of dignity, the lessons of having to watch and find yourself, to try to keep your dignity as a man. That is so hard because so many people are constantly trying to take it from you. And yet, to watch the dignity being swept away because you can't go or use the bathroom or do certain things without having assistance. To hear my brothers both talk about the dignity of a man. To see it compromised, to see it swept away, but also to watch them love deeper, to love deeper. Both men learn to love deeper. Both men learn to take all of their love in all of their moments that they had left to make sure that people understood their love. Sometimes in the love of frustrations, which is the hardest thing to understand when you're in the love of frustrations, how hard it is to understand how to love in those frustrations. To watch life leave them and the lessons of watching life leave them. You do know that their spirit exists. It exists in the relationships. It exists in their family relationships. It exists into my soul. It exists because there's a constant reminder of what they stood for. Eric always talked about you'll fall for anything if you don't understand how to stand for something. Dwight always talked about the moment that you have to be prepared for, because you never know when you're going to have your moment. If you take those two and you add those to your playbook, you add it to your playbook, you're going to be a better human being. You're going to be a better person. And the reason you are is that those characteristics are essential to life. They're essential that you stand. They're essential that you try hard. And so when I think of my friends and I think of their best attributes, I want to pass those on. I want every human being to know why they need that, why they should have that in their soul. And for you, which I know this.
And I've had my ass wiped by more people than I can count, Ronnie.
I know that. I know. I know that.
Ronnie, you've said Coach Ben Parks is one of the key influences in your life. One of his mottos was, "Our service is the rent we pay for living," and he walked the walk in every way. He was also very influential in diffusing racial tensions in his community. Ronnie, how did Coach Parks influence your sense of purpose, especially your sense of purpose after football?
Well, he influenced my purpose because his pursuit of every day, every day, every day he ran, he got up, and he had a pursuit of getting us ready to win. I could see him jogging in the mornings early, and he would be the first thing that he would do is he would just run, and he's lifting and he's running, and all he wanted was all of us to get in the huddle and just run and work and find ways to figure it out. His influence was great because you couldn't call him by his first name. And I saw many of men try to call him by his first name, and he would say, "You have to call me Coach Parks, because that's the respect. That's the respect that I deserve, because I'm a coach." And I used to sit there and watch men that would laugh and wouldn't understand. And I would sit there and watch men that didn't understand that sometimes in life you earn the respect to be known as a coach. And so he coached his community. He coached other teachers. He coached other kids. And he coached them to see the things that they didn't even understand. But he coached because he knew that if you didn't know, that he could find a way to help you understand how to know. So he coached to make his community better every day. And the lessons that I learned from him were that we all matter. We all matter. And we got to continue coaching people.
Man, I love Coach Parks. Thanks for sharing him with me, Ronnie. This
Thank
is
you.
a major part of my purpose and how I serve my man. I started the Gleason Life Skills Sports Clinics a few years ago. We have a handful of clinics each year for various sports. We teach kids the skills for being successful in athletics, and we couple that with teaching the skills for being successful in life. Ronnie, as you know from our previous conversations, I believe playing sports or martial arts can teach critical life skills to our youth. In that sense, I really love Coach Park's approach to sports and his approach to life. I think you feel something similar on sports and life skills, my man. Even beyond sports, Ronnie, It seems there are some essential skills that people need to navigate life. As humans, we all face inherent challenges, changes, adversity, and pain. While some of us face more difficult challenges and pain, I see that we all share these elements. In that sense, we're united as a family. Ronnie, you've been quite successful in your life, despite challenges, changes, adversity, and pain. Can you help me learn what you believe are the life skills that you see as essential for you, your kids, and all of us to navigate life in a purposeful and successful manner?
Think about what Coach Parks taught me. Never to give up. Always, always think of how you can get another rep, how you can find a way to get another rep in life. Find a way to get knowledge, because we don't know it all. So find a way to get more knowledge, and get more knowledge because as a coach, trust me, as a coach, you want to be able to know everything that the coach knows. And knowing what I know, that's a hard thing to know everything that the coach knows. Because as Coach Parks would say to me, give me one more burpee, give me one more push-up, because I don't think you knew the answer. And so those essential things. And then the last thing to me, understand how to pay your respects to everyone. When I think of some people that have given up their lives, the debts that we owe them. When I was a kid, I would go to see the tomb of the unknown soldier. And you have to salute because you're paying your respects for all of what he did. And there are so many people in this world that have given up, that have done things to make this world better for us. And you got to learn how to pay your respects to them for their sacrifices, for all of what they have given us. And to me, my dad taught me that one, because ultimately you want people to respect you for what you're doing in your service and what you're giving to this world. So that last one, to me, you and I, we have to make sure that we give everything, because we want a lot of people to respect us for all the things we're trying to do. And Coach Parks, at his funeral, and all the people from all different races, all different colors, all different athletes from all different sports showed up because they knew that Coach stood for something and that he impacted their lives and he changed their lives. And that's the thing that you want to be able to look back on. Did you help and serve and give somebody a shot, a chance? In sports, they teach you that. In life, we need to continue to teach that to more people.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier is my favorite military monument, Ronnie. Thanks, brother. Okie dokie. Let's go soul to soul on current events in our country, Ronnie. The history of racism in the United States, its existence today, and the trauma it has caused can be painful. We've talked about moving beyond pain, Ronnie. And I've heard you tell some stories of your personal experiences with racism, so you may want to share those. But my first question on the topic is, from a personal standpoint, how has the problem of racism, or the pain you felt, at times in your life affected you? And you're one of the toughest dudes to ever play in the NFL, so I think it will help me to learn from a personal standpoint. How deeply has this problem of racism affected you, Ronnie? On an emotional level, a level of heart, and like your trials with your friends with ALS, what lessons have you learned from your experiences and your family's experiences with racism?
Yeah, that's a big question, because when you think about the moments when you're not Ronnie Lott, when you're just sitting in your car, and you're just sitting in your car, and you're not thinking about anything but just sitting in your car, and somebody drives by that's in another car that's an officer, and sometimes you'll find that the officer will look up, and you know that that officer all of a sudden is starting to pay attention. And what's interesting is that when I was a kid and living in Washington, D.C., and remembering the riots, and remembering that when I went to go look at this 7-Eleven that had just been burnt down, and we walked down there and we saw a cop coming at us, and we ran because we were afraid. Not because we were doing anything wrong, but we were afraid. Why were we afraid? Because we had just seen people that were rioting, that were being arrested. And as a kid, when you see things on a screen, and you see it and you don't know why that it's happening, or you see it in life and you don't know why it's happening, what you do know is how you feel. Fear does a lot to you. And so I think one of the hardest parts, that's why, I love people that are positive. I love coaches that are talk positive. I love when people talk about positive situations. I love waking up in the morning, every morning saying, let's go, we're gonna make some plays, baby. Let's make some plays. Let's make some plays in life. Let's make some plays. I love waking up saying, I'm gonna make a play today. I'm gonna be with Steve today. I'm gonna be with Steve today. I'm gonna make a play. Let's make some plays. That's a good feeling. That's powerful.
Right. Thanks, Ronnie. I appreciate your story, the trials and the triumph. Let us work to move beyond fear together as a family. Thanks again.
Thank you.
As with all challenges, changes, adversity, or pain related to racial tensions, brother, you could have chosen to react to racism, personally and nationally, in different ways. Positive ways, or negative ways. Mindful ways, or unconscious ways. From my perspective, it seems like you have responded positively, purposefully, and powerfully all your life. Ronnie, can you share beliefs or values or practices that you have worked to develop in yourself that have helped how you respond to problems and pain powerfully and purposefully, specifically related to the color of your skin?
Never have regrets. Never have regrets. Always try to do your best. Exhaust all moments. Allow yourself to see the best of every moment. Try to find ways to vision all outcomes. Try to see yourself working with people that you don't even know. Try to find a way to be in a huddle, helping someone else stand on your shoulders. Find a way to have a purpose-driven life. Those are just some of the things that I've always tried to tell myself. Those are some of the things that I try to share with my family. Those are some of the things that we try to believe in, that lots don't quit. You know, we try to find ways to make sure that we're consciously thinking of how to advance the ball in life and to play in the huddle with anyone, because, hey man, you never know. You never know who you're going to be in the huddle with. You never know. You never know what gender, you never know what race, you never know what anybody can do to help you get better to advance the ball in the huddle. And that's what I've seen with so many great leaders, that the great leaders find a way to value everybody that's in the huddle. Value everybody that's in the huddle. Sometimes, and you know that sometimes the kicker, you got to value the kicker too, because the kicker is going to hopefully find a way to execute something that he works on to make the team better. So you got to value everyone. The water boys, you got to value everybody on your team. And that's, hey man, that's something that is really, you know, when you think about winning a Super Bowl and you go back to the first day of training camp, it's the guys who are handing out the equipment. It's the guys who are giving you all the stuff. So you got to value everybody when you're pursuing your best. You got to value people.
Man, I love your philosophy of exhaust a moment.
We're doing that right now.
Damn right, Ronnie. You and I both speak about the courage of embracing vulnerability and sharing our fears and weaknesses with each other to grow more resilient, more whole, more unified, and more triumphant. This is not the old school model of masculinity, but I do believe it is related to and based upon most of our ancient wisdom. And this courage to be vulnerable and weak has been critical for me. With ALS, Ronnie, what do you see as our opportunity, as men in particular, in addressing the tremendous challenges of our times, our racial tensions, our political divide, fears for our health with the global pandemic, and the struggling economy? What kind of actions do you think we can be taking as men to help create a more perfect world for our children and their children?
You think of our weaknesses, which we all have. Everyone has a weakness. If we just stepped back and we took a look at our weaknesses and said, you know what, I'm going to try to find a way to make that weakness better. And I'm going to try to find a way to improve upon that weakness. And I'm going to try to find a way to make sure that my weakness, and it could be a weakness for how you feel about another race or how you feel about another person, but I'm going to take my weakness, but I'm going to make it better for others. And then the other thing that if you think about looking at ourselves is how do I find ways to constantly look at how am I going to share what I have? What am I going to do to find ways to share what I have? It's a hard thing because we all know that everybody says, oh no, you got, when you make it, you got, but when you make it, how do you share? And share it in a way where you value others. Lastly, getting respect, not just getting it, but earning it from other human beings. When you give respect and you earn respect, there's so many valuable things that come from that. So many valuable things that come back to you from that. And in sports, the teammates that you play with, the people you line up with, you realize that the best ones, the great ones, are always finding a way to give to others. Joe Montana didn't say a lot, but he gave so much to so many people. I remember one time there was a moment where one of the guys was being picked on because he was too heavy, and Joe said, hey, look, I'm gonna take care of his fines. And I was like, and it made me realize that the great ones find a way to do the things that others don't want to do, but they make it better for others. And so I would encourage us to make sure, and as we think about, as we come out of this and as we deal with others, that we find ways to make it better for other people, because there are other people right now that need our help. They need and will need a job. They're going to need a job. They're going to need a place to go, find a place to work. They're going to need a place to live. So I know in our community, and I know in the Bay Area, we're strategizing, we're working, we're trying to find ways. I'm a part of a nonprofit called Tipping Point. I'm a part of All Stars Helping Kids. We're trying to find ways to help others. We're trying to find ways to make it better for others. And the reason I say that is that don't be afraid to sit on the sideline. Get off the sideline and find a way to join an organization that can help somebody. Find a way to lift somebody up. Find a way to get in the game and to participate. It might just change your life for the better. You might see greater things with yourself by just being able to give respect and earn respect. That's what Coach Parks always talked about. Give respect and earn respect from everybody that you come in contact with.
So it is. Thanks, man. Ronnie, I also love your philosophy that the best way to become more successful is to help others become more successful. Putting people on your shoulders, giving respect. Thanks so much for having this conversation with me today, Ronnie. I appreciate you in your life. I love you, brother.
I love you, Steve. I love what you stand for. I love what you're teaching all of us about how we
I'll write it up.
get better.
Perfect. Thanks, Ronnie. Be well.
You too. Peace be with you.
Behind the Glass. Soul to Soul with Steve Gleason.